Nico, this is in your key, dude.
It is?
Start with me. Yeah.
What chord are you playing?
What chord?
A modified D minor.
Point my mic at my instrument. My microphone's not set up. Yeah.
All right, everybody.
It was set up.
We changed it.
Stop jerking around, guys. This is serious. We got things to talk
No more
about.
smiling.
We got podcasts to pod about.
I'm gonna have to
over
play
to
my
the left.
pen.
Hand pan over to the left.
Hand pan.
Yeah,
over
we
the
got
left.
casts to cast. I think it's clear that Nick is the real vagabond in this group, given that he's both playing mandolin and a street accordion at the same time.
It's that like desert trader music, you know, out in the shanty
Yeah,
town.
man.
Will you
Demonstrate
demonstrate
my
this?
wares.
Talk about the street accordion for a second here, and also, can I drone it for a moment?
Yeah, dude. So it's called a shruti box, and it's
Oh, excuse me?
a shruti box.
A Shruti box.
A shruti
Like
box.
a Dwight Schrute box.
You are Shruti.
Shruti.
That's one for the books.
All right,
Not to be confused with you. Why
I'm holding the Shruti box. Do you want me to start playing it right now?
Don't
while you talk
play
about
it until one of the notes is open, or else you're gonna pump air into nothing and it'll pop it. So you gotta make sure you. So this is like an
Wow.
accordion. It's an Eastern instrument used in Turkey and I think like Asia Minor a lot, but it's like a really old instrument, and it basically creates an acoustic drone, like almost a synth drone.
Yeah,
it's
no,
really
it's
cool.
very calming. It's very peaceful.
It's used in medicine a lot, like
very
like
ambient.
yoga and healing and meditation.
Okay, I can see that.
So you're gonna want to select your root note.
I did.
I feel like the
cool.
tones like resonate with my nerves. You know,
Yeah,
like
man.
it hits you like on a deep level.
With your bones.
Yeah, and you kind of pump it like you want to pump it before the breath is over, if that makes sense.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So like,
So
kind of
start with a nice big one. Start with a nice big breath,
Yeah, take a
and
big
just
breath.
slowly like pump it. Yeah,
Wait, where's the noise coming from? Is it the little holes on the outside?
yeah.
So point the mic on the outside here. Yeah, there you go. There you
And now,
go.
yeah, and now open it up before it's
In the
done.
sands of time, there was a man looking for the perfect sound.
So this is like you just roll up in the desert, and it's like the post-apocalypse, you know, and like
The wind whipped hard on his chiseled face, his skin like leather.
try.
Hey, we
out-
should
try
consider
holding it
making our
straight up.
own music for corridor videos sometime.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sam, just sad Sam noises in the
Hey,
background.
have you guys ever thought about making a band called like the
Starts on a
Stay
G.
Here?
The stay here and don't move. The place of last
The
resort.
withheld. The the obtain. The,
Yeah.
the maintain. That's a good band name. The maintain.
The high. How about the high tower?
The high tower.
Jacob hit you with a D minor.
All right, here we go. Let me get this capo off of here.
My confidence when it comes to musical abilities are so low.
Ren, you can play this one. You definitely can play the shruti box.
I could
dude.
probably play the shooty box. Is it the shooty box? Like shoot 'em up?
Shruti.
Shruti.
Like a shroot.
Like a
Like shroot.
I've never
Dwight
shooty box.
Schrute.
Shruti box.
Yeah, it creates this very
Dwight
like
Schrute.
moody, atmospheric sound.
And podcast listeners, today we're not prepared for the ultimate chill session. Welcome
You guys are ready
to
to chill.
the Corridorcast. If you're still awake at this point, I
That's
am disappointed.
Nick. Where did you find that thing, man?
I
How
went
did you
to-
even learn about this?
Yeah. Where does one discover an instrument of this nature?
I went down a rabbit hole of Turkish folk music.
You found this in a rabbit hole?
Yes.
I went down like a YouTube rabbit hole of Turkish folk music. There's like some channel that I can't even read the name of. I literally can't
Yeah.
read it. I don't know
Yeah.
how to
You
read
in the eyeball.
Turkish, but
Oh,
it's
you need
really
some-
cool
you're good,
music.
you're good.
And there was some lady in this jam session playing one of these things, and I was just
Huh.
like, "Dang, that's really cool! Like, what is this acoustic synth?"
Yeah.
So yeah, I looked it up, and then like, you can order them online. So not Amazon though, but
Not on Amazon, okay.
it's made in like freaking.
I mean, I love the tag on it.
It's like made in some random country like Timbuktu. or
Manoj
something.
Kumar Sardar and brothers, sons of Kagan Sardar.
They're the ones you
Oh.
want. Kagan Sardar are the guys And not
Cog
even
and,
joking.
Cog and
Brothers,
Sardar,
dude.
for when you're looking for analog synth notes, consider no one else but Cog and Sardar.
Honestly.
You can reach them at monojkrsardar@gmail.com.
Dude, shout out. Sardar Brothers.
This guy just got a free shout out.
I'm gonna level up like in a couple of years when I can afford it. Like they have these like this times 4 where it's just like you get like 4 octaves
Oh,
to
really?
mess with. Yeah,
Wow.
so you can like double them up and like
It's just a chill accordion.
dude. Exactly.
Does it still come in a briefcase though?
I hope so. It's kind of like a big briefcase. It's like this big.
Because one of the coolest things about that would be the ability to walk with it anywhere, and then you open it, and then like 3 more accordions come out.
Russian accordions.
Yeah, and they're all
Nesting
different
accordions.
octaves.
I think the goal is eventually that like we all can bring our musical instruments on the one wheel and go on like a desert ride
Yeah.
where we're just like going through the desert playing.
I have to get a little mini hand pan. They make those,
Yes.
by the way, like little tiny ones. Like, I mean, they're still like 18 inches across or something.
Yeah.
But
18 inches. That's
like a pizza.
still pretty big.
Yeah.
It's enough to just have on a little
That's still
strap
pretty
and just
big.
kind of
Little pizza pan.
Yeah, you hold on your hand, you just go boom, boom.
Pizza pan.
boom.
What's the diameter of this one?
21 inches.
She's a beaut.
I mean, so the
She's a
mini
beaut.
one is 3 inches shorter.
Well, it's also shallower. Just, volume.
I got
Nico, did you introduce your new daughter to us? Yeah, to the
daughter.
audience.
Sorry,
Have
Milo.
you-
Now you're a second child. Yeah, we did a little bit in the last episode.
Okay.
But I've gotten a lot better, well, relatively at like playing this because I've started to like figure out where the chords are, and just the techniques to make it sound good. Stainless steel is a little bit different than like other stuff. I actually got like a little tripod to set it on, and like it's so resonant that it actually doesn't quite sound that great. It's like
It, like, drowns itself
"Wah!"
out.
You're like, whoa.
Whoa.
If you,
So you
if you
placing it
stand
on your
too
lap.
close to it and move, it vibrates.
Yeah, it actually
That's
does.
how
I
resonant.
can be like, and it like
Yeah, you're right. And this one has a little note on the bottom too, which is really cool. Your other one didn't have that, right?
My other one did
Yeah.
not have that. So I have a really big scale. What? Sorry. Hey, that's a lot of
wow,
notes
look at
for
you.
a hand pan.
Do re mi fa sol la
There's
ti
the new
do.
intro jingle for the
Exactly.
show.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should do the sound. We should do a Sound of Music remake with that thing.
Yes. Always down. I've never seen that movie, but let's go.
You've never seen that movie?
I haven't seen The Sound of Music.
It's a classic, man. You should watch it.
I know
really.
I gotta see it.
Yeah, don't they kill Hitler at the end of it?
I think so. Or
With
was it
music.
Bigfoot?
They kill a bunch
the
of
sound
bad
waves
guys.
are so strong.
The Sound of Music is what killed him.
Sound of Music is great, and it's got a bunch of really good songs to it, and it's really well shot, and it gets written off as like a cheesy old movie, but it's actually really, really well done.
It's
Did you guys
just
ever
an
check it
old
out.
movie.
Did you ever see the movie Bedknobs and Broomsticks? Do you remember that movie?
Yes, isn't that with like the teleporting bed or that could fly?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
something like
Hence
that.
the
yeah.
Bedknobs.
The bed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
So I watched the movie a whole bunch. I was really into it, mainly for the last scene. It was kind of like a follow-up to Mary Poppins, where they had like the whole like live characters against cartoons.
Right. Yeah.
And,
okay.
what's
Did they
that-
also use that crazy like special patented
Probably.
crystal for
Probably.
that one? The
And what's the
sulfur crystal?
who's the actress from Murder She Wrote?
I don't know. She's dead.
Well, she was in it too.
Okay.
But
Sorry, that was a joke on murder. Hey, not. I don't
she
know.
wasn't murdered. Oh, I see what you mean. She might still be alive. Anyways, the reason I bring that up is, tell me if you remember this, Wren. So she's a witch. She's like a benevolent witch. And, she's taking them all these different lands, and they're going to do all these different crazy things. But at the end, it's set in Britain during World War II, and the Germans invade their town. And so they go down to the local history museum and reanimate all the suits of armor so that there's reanimated armor fighting Nazis. And what? Yeah, they're like shooting them with machine guns and like,
I've never heard of this.
yeah, it's like, to like 5-year-old Nico, this is the coolest thing ever. I mean, it's still pretty dang cool, but
You watched a lot of really old movies as a kid. You brought up frickin' Flubber, the old original Flubber movie that I didn't even know existed.
Wait, like
The one with Robin Williams, or the
Pre-Robin?
one?
Yeah.
the black and white one.
Yeah, the black and white. Didn't you shoot that episode of Visual Effects Artist React? Or was
no,
that Dean?
I didn't shoot that one. Wow, I didn't know Flubber had a pre-Flubber.
You didn't know it's
Pre-Flubber?
called
Yeah, pre-Flubber.
It's the absent-minded professor.
Whoa, okay, that's not what I meant.
Angela
You get what
Lansbury,
I'm
by the
saying.
way, is her name.
Angela Lansbury. Nigel Lansbury.
Lounsborough. Nigel Thornberry.
Yeah, I mean, here, check the. We can't really show people.
Yeah,
on
no,
the
it's not good to show
podcast.
video. It's not good to watch videos during this podcast because no one else
Yeah.
can see
Was
them.
it CG or stop motion
Not even
suits of
video
armor?
watch-
No, it's
watchers.
like a bunch of like crazy
Man, we're doing
puppetry
it
to make
anyway.
like invisible suits of armor, just like walking through.
Can you just put a
the
person in the
mist.
suit of armor? Look this
They
up.
even got horses. They got people mounted on like floating horses.
They're like, we promise there's no actual people in these armors.
Anytime
promise.
there's sci-fi creations fighting
And-
Nazis, I mean, you pretty much have a home run of a
Yeah.
piece right there.
There's no
Anything
special effects
fighting.
in
Yeah,
it though.
don't show me.
Or
Don't.
there's no visual effects.
Oh.
They even
No.
made a movie
It's
about
all
Nazis
practical.
fighting Nazis.
Wait, then how do they do
Valkyrie.
that? That's still a magic trick. We could talk about
See,
that on
look at
React
them. They're
tomorrow.
just shooting these knights down with their mounted machine guns, and these kids like, wow,
Oh, dude, this is like Goonies status, man. Like
Yeah.
pre-Goonies.
this is like everything I'm about. Reanimated knights. Like, imagine if Harry Potter took place in World War II, and it's wizards versus like German soldiers. Like, how cool would
This
that
needs
be?
a
That
remake.
sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah,
It's overdue.
Sounds pretty
bed
sweet.
knobs and broomsticks.
Hey, are we ever gonna do tactical wizards?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
We were just talking about
we
that
were just
actually
talking about it.
earlier today.
Oh,
We were
okay.
talking
Should I
about
stop
doing
talking about it
No,
then?
no, let's talk about it. Like, there's
Dude.
nothing wrong with talking about an idea.
Because you designed your whole freaking D&D son of a dungeon character after like what you hope to be like a tactical wizard. Like
Yeah.
imagine like just the most like kitted out wizard that's like an assassin.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because like nobody, either if you have wizard stuff and magic stuff, it's either Harry Potter or it's Marvel. You don't really have anything else. Like, there's no good, solid medieval fantasy wizard stuff that's like got the modern action movie approach or feel to it. It's always goofy or it's always kid oriented.
I mean, there's the King Arthur. Does that kind of
Not really. Merlin is like the
new
lamest wizard.
what's the Guy Ritchie
Legend of
King
the
Arthur?
Sword, was it? Or was it? Is it? Am I thinking of a different one?
Legends of Gaul.
I've been to Merlin's grave, by the way.
Why?
The
Yeah,
real Merlin?
The real Merlin has a real grave.
I didn't even
in
know
France.
Merlin was real, dude.
Yep.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, it's this rock, like this old like.
It's a rock.
It's what was it, like? There's these like monoliths.
He is a
like,
rock.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the Gauls used to have their like their
Step aside,
obelisks
Dwayne.
or whatever. Yeah. So there's like something like that that's like ancient.
A Stella? A Stelli?
Something
Or
like that,
Stele?
yeah.
I'm not sure, yeah. One
Yeah,
of those
just-
words.
Where in France is this?
I think it's in like central southern France, something like that. It's kind of it's in the forest where the King Arthur legends are supposed to have taken place.
I thought this
Which is
took
in
place in
France.
England.
No, it took place in France.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they went from England to Gaul to look for the Holy Grail.
The gall of them.
I don't know. Like,
They went to Jerusalem, or that's Indiana Jones. Sorry, I'm getting it mixed up.
Yeah,
I think you're-
And
I
then when
think
they
they did
got
go to
down to
France.
Jerusalem, they found these crystal skulls. Yeah.
about 18 miles west of Rennes, the forest of Pimpon is all that remains of the vast forest that covered the ancient inland Brittany, aka Argoat. Legend has it that the 25 square miles of woodland is also the location of mythical Broceliande, the forest of King Arthur.
Where was this place near?
It's a lot of
Rennes
speculation.
in France.
I don't know, dude. Sherwood Forest is
spell that.
my Arthur legend. Okay?
Renne.
I'm a Sherwood boy.
Okay, okay.
It isn't Sherwood. Isn't that the other guy, Robin Hood?
Oh shoot. Yeah, you're right.
Where's our
It's all
resident
fake.
Englishman Scott when you need to clarify some of this?
Yeah. So back to tactical wizards, I suppose, though. So like the idea here is like to do a tactical fight scene, but it's with wizards using their magic. So like instead of like a flashbang, or like say, you know, like if you played Rainbow Six, you remember like the door breaches, right? Where you put the charge on the door and you can blow the door in. So imagine instead the magical equivalent of that is like the soldiers are ready to breach. You have all your like guardsmen there with their crossbows, and then the wizard comes up, takes out like a bucket of blood, paints a rune on the door, and steps back, says an incantation. The door shatters and the pieces fly in, but then they freeze in the air. Soldiers run into the room, and then the wizard whispers one more word, and the pieces of the door go, and they come back and reform the door. You know, like imagine doing a door
Whoa.
breach, but with
Yeah.
magic. You know,
What
You know,
about, like,
I know a program that could simulate that.
So it's like a
Speaking of
mix.
another
It's
magician.
real D&D.
Harry.
yeah, it's real D&D. It's basically all the
program
cool,
Harry.
all the cool action scenes you imagine when you play D&D, but actually directed and executed as an authentic.
We should just call it real D&D or something like that instead of tactical wizards, because tactical wizards makes it sound like it's guys in wizards costumes as SWAT.
Yeah,
That was kind of the
That's
idea.
what I'm imagining.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about like modern times with M4s and
Yeah.
like SWAT gear, but they just have beards.
Kind of.
That's-
Where
that's
does
what
the
I-
wizardry come in?
I mean, like, but I wouldn't put in like, rubber boots and Kevlar vests, but they'd still have like the modern equivalent of that,
Oh,
Like-
so it's taking place in modern times?
No, it's taking place in a time where people have magic and can make anything they want. So it's like, what would your high-end adventure garb look like? You're not going to be some scrub running
Yeah.
around with a potato sack on your feet. Like,
Probably
No,
like
of course
mithril,
not. But I'm saying like
really
you're-
nice tanned leather.
yeah,
aesthetically, is it like medieval fantasy or is it modern?
it's medieval fantasy, but taking cues from the practicality of modern.
Okay.
So they're wearing
Okay.
boots.
So
They're
the
wearing
soldiers
pants.
would be wearing like classic metal armor rather than Kevlar.
Right.
It sounds very Shrek to me. You know how they have like the
Yeah.
knights like doing doing a traffic stop and stuff, like the
Yeah.
ferries and stuff.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is a decent like reference of like the high end elves and rangers and like kind of what they're wearing there. But like just pare down the fantasy imagery a little bit and like step it towards practicality. Step it towards like actual like, what did the king's best soldiers wear? Like in real life, in the medieval times, like or right at the beginning of the Renaissance. Like what's the pinnacle of technology and skill and craftsmanship for combat? Suits and weapons. Like that's kind of what we're looking at.
Dude,
Can
those
we
Kevlar
thread
brigandines.
in some like situational comedy, or does it have to be like super serious and dramatic and actiony the whole time?
It's not necessarily super serious, but it needs to take itself seriously.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
But
so
like The Office takes itself seriously.
no, it doesn't.
So like, what is the medieval
It kind of
version
does.
of a
No,
terrorist?
the actors take it seriously, but the show
Yeah.
doesn't.
That's okay. Yeah. That's what I guess that's what I meant.
I mean, we also did this kind of. Wizard Cops,
Yeah.
which is not really.
Wait, is that
kind
that
of.
movie Bright?
Dude, I remember when we made Wizard Cops and we were trying to get a movie off the ground and we're like, there's so much more to explore with Wizard Cops. And like we started talking to various like companies about it and they're like, have you heard of this thing called Bright? And we're like, no. And they're like, it's kind of Wizard Cops. So
And then
Yeah.
it turned out it was straight up Wizard Cops.
just straight up Wizard Cops. Wizard Cops came out
What,
first.
what do you mean it was straight up Wizard Cops? Like, is there actually a correlation?
It's almost like the less funny version of Wizard Cops. Like
Yeah.
straight up, it's like wizards on the beat doing their police jobs in a city that happens to have magic and people all just
Yeah.
trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Just
We
normal
were-
life.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
we're not
possible that
suggesting they stole it from us. We're not. We're just saying, a lot of people
we're
have
just
similar
saying
ideas.
maybe it was
And our idea
inspired
came out
by
first,
Wizard
just saying.
Cops.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Max Landis watched his corridor
Yeah.
before he got heavily canceled.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you guys like know him and a lot of the same people?
I mean, he was like around the circles of people that we knew, but yeah, he had a lot of allegations come out against him from people who are my friends, which is very
Yeah.
strange to be so close to such a thing.
Yeah.
But kudos to the women for coming forward and saying something. So,
Not
Yeah,
to,
it sounded like he was a real piece of work. Hey guys, Brandy O'Daniel back with another amazing sponsor of today's podcast. This one, you may have heard him before. That's right, Storyblocks. Why? Because Storyblocks is the complete solution for all of your stock asset needs. They are the one-stop shop, the cat's pajamas, the bee's knees, the best in the biz. That's right, Storyblocks has a virtually unlimited library of high-quality, royalty-free assets, everything from video B-roll, After Effects templates, music, sound effects, motion graphics, and more. They've got what you need, and they're constantly updating the site. So if you ever need to go back to something out of their virtually unlimited library, it's gonna also continue to be updated. With their unlimited all access plan, you can download as much from the site whenever you want and use it in whatever kind of content you want. That's right, it's completely royalty free. And if you're a creator working with an even larger team, consider talking to your team leader about an enterprise license with Storyblocks. Now, as you know, we use Storyblocks all the time around here. It's one of the greatest tools that we have in our post-production resource kit. And if you're looking to add another tool to your toolkit, consider a subscription with Storyblocks. Just head on over to storyblocks.com/corridorcast to get started. That's storyblocks.com/corridorcast. Now, back to the podcast.
not to change the subject too abruptly, but I want to talk about Attack on Titan.
Yes. What do you want to talk about, Wren?
I like it.
How big are
I
the
like
Titans?
the
I
Titans.
like the Titans.
Hey guys, my name's Wren, and I like Attack on Titan.
And I think it's kind of cool. Christian and Nico, how caught up are you guys?
I'm about 3 episodes back.
3 episodes? The most recent one? Okay.
Oh, but for me, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Spoil it. Just
I'm not going to spoil it.
everything.
I have no
Friend.
intention of
Thanks a
spoiling
lot.
it.
Yeah.
Wait, are you caught up?
No,
That's
I'm
what
just.
I thought. Why don't you friggin' joke with me?
I've watched the last
I'm
season.
wearing a Route 66 hat, Ren. I don't know what.
Does he
Anime
look
seems
caught
right
up
up
on
your
Attack
alley.
on Titan?
I think I may have just caved.
Caved to what?
I started reading the manga.
Oh, really?
I cannot wait week to week to find out what happens next when they leave us on such cliffhangers.
You're like a kid coming out to his parents right now. You're like, Mom, Dad, I started reading the main canon of the Attack on Titan series, and I don't care what anyone thinks. I need to be my own person.
Well, there is
all right, we accept you.
There is a slight reason behind it, and I think it's because I'm going to be making an Attack on Titan video.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Boom, boom, boom.
I'm really
boom.
digging the newest season's opening intro.
The
Yeah, I find myself liking it more and more. Like
a
I used to
creepy
skip it,
vibe.
and now I'm kind of just like, I'm just gonna watch the intro. I usually skip this, but no, no. So the idea behind this video is that how big are Titans from Attack on Titan? They look huge, especially like the Colossal Titan. It looks like a literal skyscraper. But it's a 50-meter Titan, so it's or 55, 45, somewhere in that range. It's like 150 feet, 160 feet, which isn't really that tall. Like a regular, like 8-story building in downtown is as tall as the Colossal Titan.
Yeah, not that tall.
Just your average 8-story building.
Trying to
But
eat
if I was
you.
to put the Colossal Titan on top of one of the skyscrapers in LA, it would look wrong and out of place because the skyscrapers would dwarf the Colossal Titan.
It would be really interesting to see like how big the wall is too, like
Yeah.
the inner wall.
Yeah.
Like, because that's also something where it's like in the show that looks so huge compared
Yeah.
to all the rest of the city.
Yeah, I
And
think.
it's like they could never build that. They could never do that. But like, could they?
I mean, the premise of how they built those walls is a little complicated. It involves like basically cementing 10 million people into a wall.
What?
Totes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Wait,
Very Great Wall
wait.
style. Yeah.
They made a wall out of dead bodies and cement?
It's called the Great Wall of China,
kind of.
Come
They
on.
turned-
what?
Basically, some people got turned into some really big titans, and then those titans got really hard.
dude. Whoa. Titan Wall.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
they made a wall
Sorry, this is
to
all
prevent
spoilers.
themselves
That's
from
kind of a spoiler.
Titans.
That's kind.
They
I'm
made
not
a-
gonna say more.
They made a wall to prevent themselves from Titans with dead Titans.
These bone
No,
phones don't help me
actually,
from
there's
spoilers.
more going on to it than what
Okay,
you...
all right. Sounds like we're getting into spoiler alert.
We're
mode.
getting deep into the story there. But no, so it's like I would love to be able to, I don't know. Part of me was really inspired by the character creator video for Handsome Squidward that we did recently. And Nico and I had a moment when we were talking about, I was like, wait a minute, we can make Titans. Because I think it all has to do with the fact that they have no genitalia. So it's
Yeah.
like, and neither do the character creator models when you make them. And so you can
Right.
totally just like make a naked person and it's a Titan and you just scale them up to be big, make their like facial proportions kind of weird.
Yeah,
I was
do
gonna
a
say
little,
this.
do a
like,
little
mocap
Carmichael
data on them.
photoshopping on their facial expressions.
Extra teeth.
Yeah, extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of extra teeth. Just make them weird. Because that's the weird thing about Attack on Titan is that the Titans are just weird. They are just straight up really weird. Unless unless we're talking about like the cool Titans, the ones that like are transforming Titans. Those are all cool.
Can you do like anime like graphic over the top of them? Not a graphic, but an anime texture over the top of them, so they
Like
kind of
toon
look
shading,
drawn.
like cell shading.
You could, but that'd be really hard.
Well,
I mean, maybe not. Actually,
I don't know if it's hard. I just don't want to. I want to make these things look realistic,
I
like
mean,
realistic lighting,
We do not
realistic
choose
textures.
to do things because they are hard, Nico. We that should be no reason not to do something.
In this decade,
Yeah.
You should make the Titans the crew members. Like, just
Oh.
for the sake of entertainment. I think that would be
That's a good
hilarious to
idea.
see, like, you is like a Titan.
I mean that's not a bad idea.
I've always wanted to see a naked 150-foot tall Wren.
Precisely, yeah.
I didn't
I just
realize
had that idea actually.
until this season that Attack on Titan is actually technically a mech show, like almost every anime.
You know what? That's really weird.
It's a mech
You're
show.
not wrong at all.
And it still has
I hadn't
destroying nukes
considered
and all that
that.
kind of stuff.
This is
It's-
basically just Gundam Wing, but like bio Gundam Wing.
Yeah.
Flesh, yeah.
It is straight up. They just took a really long way to get there and to arrive at that trope again.
Yeah. So I mentioned this over the weekend on Twitter, and I've already had a couple artists reach out to me willing to help model some of these Titans. So far, we got Aaron Yeager, the Attack Titan. We got one guy I'm talking to is going to start designing the female Titan. He's already got a base layer of the Beast Titan.
Wow.
I might just like download a literal like muscle skeleton 3D model for the Colossal Titan, because it's basically just like, what does a human look like without skin? That's the
Put some
Colossal Titan.
steam coming out.
Yeah, just like some steam vents.
Have you ever been to the bodies exhibit?
I have, yeah. I went to
That's what a
OMSI
human
up in
looks
Portland.
like without skin.
Yeah, it's creepy, especially because they're
Yeah.
real bodies in that exhibit.
Right.
It's all real.
Yeah.
It's not plastic. It's just
No.
preserved.
Yeah.
By the way, you guys remember that Attack on Titan game that we were like really into back in the day?
Oh, that like indie one that wasn't like an official technically
Yeah, which was
released
still the best
game?
Attack on Titan game to ever come out. Do you know there's a second one about to come out? And it's like way better graphics.
It's not VR. is it?
Whoa!
No, not VR. VR would be nuts though.
I mean,
There's a VR
Pop
mod.
one is close,
you can. There's a game on SideQuest that's Attack on Titan for
Oh,
the
yeah.
Quest 2.
I saw it. It's
I've-
probably
I haven't
really
tried it.
janky, but yeah.
I mean, probably. I don't know. The motion, when you start like flying around like that, you start dealing with dangerous motion sickness territory.
yeah.
That is potentially an issue.
So something interesting about Attack on Titan is, so they have all these crazy giants and they're like in cities and they're fighting, and animating that is really, really difficult. And you can usually tell when there's going to be a big fight scene in an episode when there's like a lot of still shots before, like when people are talking and the camera just like cuts to the table and it cuts to a window and it cuts to the feet. It's like when it's just like avoiding animation. That's because they're saving their animation budget for like the fight scenes. But in this season, there's so much action with big Titans that they actually went with the new studio, not because they could draw it better, but because the new studio could do 3D models of the Titans, but have them look hand-drawn. So anytime there's a Titan on screen now, it's a 3D model, but it's animated to look like it's hand-drawn.
Yeah, it's pretty convincing.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty well done.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. You could do that.
Yeah, but then it looks like a cartoon.
I know. It'd probably look cooler as a body.
just do the whole video. Make the
Well,
whole
like
video
my
cartoon.
point is like someone's already
Do the
doing
whole
that.
vi-
The show is doing that.
Wait. What if the whole video we do a cartoon texture on it or an anime texture on it, and the whole video looks like it's animated?
Jake, we would have to literally invent a new way of doing computer visual science to pull that off.
Nico, we choose to go to the moon.
In this decade,
Knowing that it is hard, we choose to go.
for things and other
Dude,
things.
going to the moon is nothing. Wren's about to put a 180 camera on a Falcon.
Yes. Can we talk
We
about
haven't
that?
talked about that.
Well, that was a good segue.
Yeah.
Good segue, Nick.
It hasn't happened yet, so I've been avoiding telling anyone about that. But yeah, so okay, first off, today is the launch date of the Insta360 Go 2, which is kind of my favorite camera right now.
It's your go-to camera?
It's my go-to
Hashtag
camera.
not sponsored.
Yeah, this is not
He
sponsored
came
right
to
now.
that joke on his own, by the way. That was totally independent of our.
The joke.
of
Well,
our
the joke.
conversation.
Your
The
joke?
joke, actually, Nick. The joke was sponsored.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
We are doing a
just-
sponsored
just the
video on the
joke,
crew
though.
channel that's going to come out in like, what, 2 or 3 weeks or something like that?
2 weeks. From
Well,
Sunday.
is it?
2.5
Because there's
weeks.
been so much Falcon drama so far. I mean, I don't know if this video is ever going to fly off the ground, dude. I don't know if it's ever going to soar over.
Dude, there's been
the earth.
so much Falcon drama. Who knew
Dude.
that there could be so much drama?
Okay, so first off, I mean, the drama is not related to our context, kind of.
No, no.
So first off, we've had this deal in the works for a while. We're gonna put it on a drone and do like a Star Wars thing. We're like, eh. Then we got the idea of putting it on a bird of prey. And I was like, ooh, That's kind of
No one's ever done like.
I mean,
a
but
bird of
that's the
prey.
thing. We've seen GoPros on like eagles and hawks before. But I was like, I've never seen a camera on a peregrine falcon before, the world's fastest animal.
Let alone like a
Peregrine
good
falcon's the
quality
fastest one?
camera.
That's the one that dives at like a bajillion miles an hour.
250 miles an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
Wait.
240 miles an hour is the listed top
What?
speed.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 120.
No, that's how fast people fall. Birds are more aerodynamic than people, so they go faster.
You telling? Wait, just hold on.
Plow right into the ground to get the worms.
You tell this bird can dive at 240 miles an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need a second.
I
just
gotta
to, like,
see this
Yeah.
from first
That's-
person with a camera attached to it.
Well, that's the thing. So that we were like, man, this is such a great idea. If we could put this on a peregrine falcon, that'd be amazing. So we threw a call out to action on Twitter and got a hold of this woman named Maya Higa, who is a big time influencer, really big in the whole ecological preservation space. She just started this foundation, raised a bunch of money for it. Like really impressive stuff for someone who's like 22 years old.
She's Ryan Higa's cousin, I believe.
No.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. I thought she was.
Okay.
Legit, I thought she was. I could totally be wrong. I could totally be wrong. I apologize if I'm wrong.
I thought you were
but
joking. I didn't think there was
I'm
any
not
relation.
joking. I'm serious.
Maybe there is. I mean, Ryan's Hawaiian. I don't know if she's Hawaiian or not, but
Let me just look. I think she is.
Christian's on it. Christian's on it.
they do share the same name. The same last name.
So you guys were gonna fly out to what?
Yeah.
Texas?
So she lives in Texas now. She has this falcon that she rescued last November, named, I think his name is Orion. And she rescued him. She's been rehabilitating him, and we reached out to her and we started working on basically details to make this video together. And she has this master falconer who is her what do you call that role, Christian? A sponsor.
According to filmifeed.com/wiki/Maya-5, she is a cousin of Ryan Higa.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's a Twitch streamer. She has a YouTube channel. Does a bunch of stuff. Very popular in her own right. I didn't realize they were cousins. And
Just a family of talent.
I
right
honestly
there.
thought you just said that as a joke because they share the same last name. So I was like, okay, come on. We got to actually look that up first. Yeah, and so we were going to fly out to Texas and work with her master falconer who has some other falcons that are trained to hunt. And we're like, oh yeah, this, like, for the first time ever, we actually have a camera that is small enough and lightweight enough that we can mount it to the back of a falcon. And falcons have this thing where you can put up to 10% of the weight of the bird on their body. And so a falcon weighs approximately half a kilo, 500 grams. And this camera is 26 grams. Once you include another 4 or 5 grams for the mount and all that stuff, it comes out to 30 grams, which is less than the 10% of 500, which is 50. Big deal. You can't put a GoPro on a falcon. They're too heavy. I mean, you can get a naked GoPro, which is just a stripped down bare bones version of a GoPro. That's lightweight enough, but it's cumbersome because it's like a flying credit card. That's not aerodynamic. You can't put that on a falcon. Come on. So that was our idea. We're going to put this on the fastest animal in the world. Through a number of circumstances, our first trip got out there, got canceled. And then our second trip, we were actually supposed to leave for Texas today. We were supposed to be in Texas right now. But that trip ended up getting canceled again due to basically the master falconer wasn't okay with the size of this camera on the back of that falcon.
Wait, you just said that could go on the back of a falcon, no problem.
Yeah.
And
the weight wasn't the issue. He was saying the profile of it, the drag of it, because it has to face sideways here. He didn't like the aerodynamics of it, and he wasn't comfortable with the risk it would put his birds at when they start stooping, which is like a dive, I think. And so he just wasn't really comfortable with doing that. So we're like, okay, no big deal. Fortunately, Maya has friends out here in California that were willing to work with us on this. So we are now working with them. And we had a conversation with them a couple times. They seem really cool. They have a whole foundation out here. I'm going to be learning so much about birds of prey and falcons in about a week when we go up there to shoot this. I'm very excited.
That's
Peregrine
really
falcons for the
awesome,
longest time were
man.
my
I'm
favorite
really
animal.
excited for you guys. I remember when I was in elementary school, we got taken to a nature center, and there was a falconer there that had a peregrine falcons. And I know they're not as big as eagles and stuff, but I just remember
relatively small.
Yeah, but I just remember being a kid and seeing one of those things and just seeing it up close, you know, with its eyes and like its feathers and its color patterns and just the intensity of it. It's like being next to a dinosaur, you know. They're such intense creatures.
I mean, they're raptors.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's wild.
I'm definitely looking forward to doing this. So one of the things I started learning about, it's been a whole process. I don't know how much of this process is going to make it into the final video, but I had to basically design a mount to put the camera on the back of a bird. And they sell these backpacks from Marshall Radio Laboratories, or I think that's the name of them.
Falcon backpacks?
Yeah, Falcon backpacks.
What?
It's basically just a tiny little piece of
They put their
plastic
little,
with a
like,
ribbon.
sleeping bags in there.
Yeah,
Their little, like,
yeah. They
water
put their
bottles.
daily rations back there, you
A
know.
little ration pouch.
Little
Yeah.
mice
Put
chunks.
a dead mouse in there.
And so what I ended up doing is I took one of the mounts that come with this camera, and I was going to glue it to the back of this. We ended up just buying our own backpack, Falcon backpack. It's a thing you can buy. And so I was going to glue it to the back of that, and we're going to ship it out to them so that they could put it on. Or just originally we're just going to bring it with us, and then when it comes time to shoot them, we're going to put them on. What we learned is that they don't take these backpacks off
What?
almost ever.
Are they like fused?
No, they take them off every 2 years.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Don't
and
they get all
so
sweaty in there?
I mean, I don't think birds sweat. But so it's a thing. You don't want to touch these birds much. They can get distressed easily, and so you kind of just don't really do much of that. So you only do it when you have to. So every couple of years they change out the backpacks, and
That is
yeah. So
wow.
basically,
Fun fact.
I had to come up with a new way to mount this thing to the back of a bird. I was like, okay. So we came up with a spring system, and so
A spring system?
What
does that mean?
it's a spring system that clips into the backpack. So the backpack stays there and the camera can be removed.
Minimal amount
So
of
it
tampering.
already has a backpack on it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for the GPS. You can't fly one of these birds without a GPS unit. There's so many laws and rules and regulations
Yeah, they might get
surrounding.
lost.
Yeah.
They might get lost
Like,
back
well-
into the wild from whence they came.
No, I'm not kidding. That's a thing, and that's the concern.
Dude, I
Like,
hate the
that is the
government
concern.
regulating my falcons.
And so I was like, okay, so, but yeah, so the downside to that is that now the lens is like right up against the back. Originally, I had the thing pointed out like a dragon rider on the back of the bird, but that was not going to work ergonomically for the bird. Because again, the safety of the birds is our primary consideration. So
So where are you going to put the camera now?
it's just resting on the back of the bird like this,
Okay, sideways. Gotcha.
sideways. Yeah,
Okay.
facing forward, but sideways.
So you
And
still think that's going to get you like that
I think it'll
super
still get us some
crispy
pretty
angle?
sweet footage. Yeah, I'll have it tilted back a little bit so you don't see nothing but the bird.
Nothing but the bird.
Nothing
So how
but
far
the
away
bird.
are we from being able to wear a visor and watch what the birds sing?
Oh my God.
How far away are we from having a
Dude, you could
control
be
unit
the
in your
first
hands so you
human.
can fly the bird?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'd be the
you
first
mount these
human
little
to see
nerve
what a
things to
falcon
the back of the
sees.
wings, so you just press a button and the bird's like, ah! And it causes them to swoop left. You're like, I'm flying the bird.
Oh,
This sounds
Peter's gonna
awful.
love that,
This,
dude. Yeah.
this sounds, PETA would be all over us just
yeah.
for making that joke. What's your question?
I'm wondering about the GPS thing.
Okay. So I know very little about what goes into falconry and all this stuff, but apparently it's like, yeah, they usually wear 2 GPS units, 2 separate ones, and it's like you literally are not allowed to train and fly these types of birds without a GPS unit in case they do get released into the wild. What I've come to learn is that like the bird space is
Yeah.
intense.
Whoa.
It's cutthroat.
Yeah.
So something that I learned with talking with these people, and yeah, I don't know if I want to say their names just yet,
Yeah.
is that there's you cannot use native birds commercially. You can't
Okay.
use them to advertise something. And again, I can't remember the specific
That's a weird
details.
law.
It's a weird law.
It's bird law, man. Come on.
And
You
so
don't know
because
bird
of
law?
that,
Dude,
and
law of the
then,
air.
a peregrine falcon, a kestrel, they are native to North America, and so they cannot be used commercially. So as soon as they realized that this was a commercial video for, because it's
my
advertising
gosh.
this camera,
Wow.
they're like, yeah, that we can't do
You are
that.
kidding me.
And it's like, oh gosh. And okay, so I was like, okay, fine. So be it. This is such a good idea. Hold up. What if we just get rid of the brand integration? What if we just say this is not a brand video? We are no longer doing this as a brand thing. They are not going to pay us any money. This video is a really cool idea. What if we do that? And I'm like, well, you're technically still making money by putting it on YouTube. And it's like, oh no, you're right. So
What about,
we cannot.
what about Maya? She has a whole YouTube channel based
It's a
on
gray
birding.
area apparently. It's varying levels of grayness.
Well, okay.
I object. I
There
object.
has to
that makes
be a
sense.
certain level of educational value in the video.
Dude, you gotta
cannot-
wonder
it's
how this law came into
anti-exploitive.
place.
You don't want to
Yeah,
exploit the
who-
birds, and that's the premise behind these
Who's
rules.
like, don't exploit the
100%.
birds.
I totally get the idea of like, let's preserve the wildlife and
Definitely.
let's not
yeah,
exploit them.
and they're
But, like,
the experts, so they know what's up.
Can you tell somebody that they can't do that though? You know, can you tell somebody that they can't make a video with like a bald
Yes.
eagle?
So here's how.
Apparently.
Basically,
On what
you would
authority?
lose your
That's- I don't-
license
I don't
and your
know.
birds would be taken away.
They're gonna take my birds away.
Yeah, no, that's what they said. They're like, it's, you know,
This is a crazy
apparently,
spa-
apparently
I
there's
don't
a
mean
whole
to-
bunch of falconers out there that are ready to bite each other's ankles and are like, if you make one
What?
step out of line, you're going to get reported by another falconer. That's why I'm saying it's like, there's like apparently a whole bunch of like, I don't know. Again, I do not know much about this space. I might be making
Yeah.
stuff up accidentally. I do not intend to. My intention making this video when we go up there is to learn as much about all of this as possible and to relay that to our audience as best as possible.
So that's why we're able to do it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Oh, no. We are not going to be using a peregrine falcon.
Oh.
What?
Yeah. So that's the disappointment factor there. But I
kind of
forget the
falcon?
name, the specific species of falcon, but
There's
they're,
a Spurgeon Falcon.
they have another falcon that is basically just as fast. It's a Middle Eastern type bird. And because it's not native to North
Basically just as
America,
fast Peregrine Falcon.
Why don't we just fly somewhere else then? Get the
wait.
peregrine.
do you want to go overseas?
Yeah,
Like,
let's do it.
No, I guess what I'm saying is because we're able to use this other bird, now we can actually keep this as an Insta360 video. There's no regulations in place for that. That's why I'm just like, this is a little odd to me. It's strange.
So you can exploit one bird, just not the other bird. Cool.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's where I'm going. Okay, I know you don't know a lot about this space, and I'm not trying to like.
Yeah,
Ren,
yeah,
tell me
Christian-
everything you know about falcons.
Okay, so Jake,
Christian
Christian,
just-
just brought this up. It's true. Apparently, for like movies and commercials and stuff, if they need to have a certain type of bird, like I forget if it was a raven or a crow, that's that a certain type of raven or crow that's like native to America, they take this other bird and dye it black.
Wow.
And use them in these movies. Again, I do not know if that means like the crows from Game of Thrones are all freaking dyed black, or no, actually
Dude.
probably not because they filmed in freaking Galway.
Can I
and
do a legal deep dive on this?
Ireland.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
that'd be
is
amazing.
Tell
so
us about
weird.
bird law, man.
Imagine
I
people being
have
this
to know
passionate
more
about like
about
building
this.
safety.
They are. They are.
Are they?
They are. Dude, every building in Los Angeles got retrofitted to be able to withstand earthquakes.
Oh, I thought you said a bird smack. like when a bird smacks into it.
A condor comes flying in from New
It's
Zealand.
like,
It's like,
whoa, okay.
I also don't understand. I think we're far too uneducated to judge this right now in
Yeah,
any
definitely.
way.
We're
But
ignorant.
the initial my initial gut of like, well, you can exploit these birds, but not these ones, is also very weird.
I mean, do you think it's like for like?
And
'cause
do you
there's,
think they
state
have those
birds,
same
there's,
laws
like-
in
well,
Europe?
I mean, Jake, does it
Sorry,
really
Nick,
surprise
go.
you that you're not allowed to exploit American birds, but immigrant birds are free game?
Well,
Basically,
America
sums up
bit.
the system. It seems like.
so what if you own like a bear?
Dude, this is
No.
a whole other type of.
Make
Where
sure
are
it's
we
a there
going?
bear, not a here bear. Okay.
Because there's people that own bears, you know, like
Yeah.
and
Who owns a bear? Like Russian people?
There are people. I mean, Joe Penna got in contact with the person who owns a polar bear for his
Why
movie.
would you want to
Yeah.
own that, dude? It's so
There's people who own
extra.
grizzly bears.
Yeah,
My
dude.
dad knew a guy growing up that owned a black bear that was in the beer these beer commercials.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And
I like
it was
bears.
like super chill. He used to bring it
Bears
to the
are cool.
drive-in theater, and it used to watch the movies sitting in the back of his truck, like with his hands on the hood, and like sit up there and watch the movies. But anyways, is this true for all animals?
No. It's just specifically these. I don't know how far it extends, if it's just falcons or if it's just American birds of prey or if it's just American flying wildlife. I'm not exactly sure at all. These are questions I'm going to ask these falconers when I meet them.
Dude, I'm so enraged at the Animaniacs right now for like exploiting pigeons like they did for so many years in their
Cartoon?
in their cartoons.
Yeah. I will say, after watching Tiger King or whatever that was, like, anytime I see a YouTube channel where it's somebody like with big cats, even if it's like a sanctuary and like, but they're anthropomorphizing the cats, like, I'm cuddling with my friend, he's so glad I'm home. It's just, it feels so weird. I can't
Yeah, I
handle it.
would never own a wild animal, but that's just it's interesting.
My
We should do a deep dive.
grandparents, really good family friends, like best friends, lived down in Orange County, and they for like 30 years owned
Built choppers.
owned two lions.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, like house lions, like that.
House lions?
Yeah, like
You
they,
know,
they
the
had a
chill
big
ones.
they had a big lab dog, and it was like best friends with these lions, and they would like sleep on their bed. They were totally house trained, just like you said, but like
We're
apparently
lions.
they were chill ass, just like huge lions, dude. And there's like photos like of them just over there, and there's like a lion on the ground, just lying down.
Just
And,
a
like,
lion lying
they had
around.
a little pen, like they had space.
Look at that
like,
lion
yeah.
there.
But like it was so crazy to me as a kid. I was like, "Who are these lion people? And how do they have lions? I want that." Like what? But
Well,
like,
remember that? What is
it
it?
can be
20th
done.
Who is it? 20th Century Fox that had the lion, or is it lion?
MGM.
MGM,
Metro
and
Goldwyn Mayer.
the logo with the lion roaring.
Yeah.
Have you seen the behind the scenes photo
Yeah.
of like the lion on the set and like literally the filmmakers like 4 feet away from this lion? Eventually,
Face
that
is just
lion
like,
ended up, I think, killing one of them.
Really?
we should look that
it
up.
killed someone. Again, I do not have my facts in place here. I very well might be wrong, but I thought there's something about that. So it's like, I mean, same thing with
Siegfried and Roy?
Siegfried and
Oh,
Roy. Yeah.
Yeah, we've learned a lot about how to. I mean, people used to mistreat wild animals like horribly.
There's a reason why regulations become regulations.
Right. Yeah, I get that. And I see that side of it. I don't understand it. It seems so perplexing and weird that like my lawyer brain is all over it right now. But anyways, so you're filming with a Middle Eastern raptor.
Yes, it's a falcon. It's a falcon. So the main source of disappointment for me comes down to the fact that we can no longer use the title that I fell in love with.
Yep.
Because as YouTubers, you know, we usually try to think of, if you want your video to do well, it helps to think of video ideas from a title and thumbnail standpoint. That's a bit of like a YouTuber pro tip there. And so when we came up with the title, we put a camera on the world's fastest animal. I was like, that is
That's a
amazing
banging title.
Yeah. And
Bro.
now we can't use that title because we're not using the world's fastest animal, which is a
On the
peregrine
world's
falcon.
second fastest out.
So,
animal.
I mean-
I mean, come
Put
on.
a camera on basically the world's fastest animal.
On basic,
We
pretty
put
much.
a camera on
we basically put a
fast
camera on the
animal.
fastest animal.
a fast animal of the world.
So I don't know what our title end up being, but it'll probably be something along the lines of like we put a camera on a falcon, which is still pretty cool. The thumbnail is going to be awesome. I'm just picturing like a falcon with his wings out, and you can see like the camera on his back. Bam. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So I don't know what type of falcon it is. It's Middle Eastern descent falcon. But they have all kinds of birds there. They have owls, they have eagles, they have hawks, they have vultures, and we're gonna get to see all of them. And I cannot be more excited about that. I am so looking forward to this trip.
That's awesome. When are you guys going? Next week?
Yeah, next week. Yeah. But I have to make sure that, so Natalie actually designed and made this thing. This is,
It's not textured.
so basically I had her mock up a 1-to-1 scale version of the Go camera, including the weight. This weighs the exact same amount as this camera, so that we can send this up along with the mount that I'm making to these falconers ahead of time to give the falcons as much time with the weight, shape, and ergonomics of the camera as possible, so that they can get more comfortable with it, so that when it comes time to actually shooting, they're not like distressed.
We need to do like a Rocky style montage of the falcons.
Yes.
Like training with the
Dude,
the camera.
Punch zooms and stuff on them, training and trying to flap their wings with it on and hopping around in slow-mo.
Oh yeah. Soaring.
That's all.
Soaring
Yeah.
high.
And then ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba.
Uh-oh. We're frozen.
Oh, our video recording might be crashing.
Oh no.
You guys aren't frozen to me.
Our digital video.
Yeah, OBS
feed.
crashed.
Uh-oh. I'm still rolling on my end.
What does that
And,
mean?
and these cameras are rolling too.
Does that mean we need to restart the whole video?
No. We got backups on these cameras. It's just a workflow thing to make it quicker. So thanks to a computer problem, Christian might have to work overtime.
Can you still do switching, Christian?
It's done.
I feel like Dobie is trying to find other ways to infiltrate our lives now that we've switched over partially to resolve.
he's pissed at us
He
right
is.
now.
He is. I can feel
He's
the
out
energy.
for blood.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Oh my god.
hopefully
Wow.
your
Oh,
bird
it
mount
almost
doesn't
really
fit.
well.
It almost fits.
Oh. Dude, those resin printers are so cool. I need
Yeah.
one.
Wow. Yeah, dude, resin printers are really cool.
And the price point is crazy now, dude.
They're finally at a point where they're actually affordable. We had the Form 2 printer, which was a resin printer. We had that like what, 4 years ago, and that was like a $2,000 or $3,000 printer.
And they only loaned it to us.
Yeah, they asked for it back. We had to give it back.
And now they
Which
probably just got
is
like hundreds of
never
them
fun.
sitting around.
And now the printer that we have upstairs, the Elegoo or whatever, is like a $250 printer, which is
Crazy.
pretty crazy.
That is
The only
nuts.
thing I hate about resin
Can I see
printing
that?
is the mess. And here, I'll give you the other camera.
It's so
too.
smooth.
Ready,
This
catch.
looks injection molded, dude. Like,
She did sand it down,
Oh,
so
okay,
it's gonna be a little smooth, but not everything of it. Like the lens part of that thing. Don't! It's glued.
I didn't do it.
Did you just pop it open? No. You sure?
I didn't get it apart. No,
Okay, good.
It's fine.
Good, because
Because it's glued.
yes. Okay. I thought you broke the glue for a moment.
Oh, can I see that? Let me try to pull it apart.
That's what I do,
You almost
dude.
just undid
I'm
all
like
of
a
Natalie's
3-year-old.
work.
I love how this looks like a little like half or a little portal turret or
It
something.
totally does look like a portal turret.
Or a little what's it? Wally Eve.
Yeah,
Evie?
Evie,
Yeah.
the renderer.
All right.
What were we talking about literally just a moment ago?
Falcons?
Law,
Resin printers.
Falcons.
Resin printers,
Resin
yeah. So the
printers.
resin printer
Resin
that we have
printers.
is like $250. The only thing I don't like about resin printing is it's a mess. You have all this goop, and what you don't use you have to put back in the thing. And if you leave it out too long, it starts curing, and it's like it's a bit of a thing. And then on top of that, you have to like rinse it with alcohol. Then you have to bathe it in UV light. But Elegoo also makes this other product that literally allows you to wash it in alcohol and then bathe it in UV light one after another. So it helps simplify the process. Traditionally, with 3D printers, you got like you melt the little plastic and you just like have this little head that goes and lays stuff down. And that's like these days that's like so little fuss that you can pretty much print anything. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty
I like
wild.
printing.
Hey, Nico.
Oh, I'm getting singled out here.
Nico.
Uh-oh.
Nico.
Hey, man.
Nico.
I was just trying to blend into the background.
I mean, you kind of do with that shirt. And
Just hide behind
Hey,
his
Nico,
collar.
are you there? Actually, I only see a head that looks like Nico back there.
What's up, Jake? I'm here.
What are you working on, man? I want to hear what you're working on too.
We're working in some final like day end of day checkups here with
Yeah, exactly.
Jake.
Jake's like, but seriously, what are you
You like that? You like that?
we're no longer
epic
doing a podcast. We're
segue?
doing a real work meeting now.
I'm working on setting up a location for this video we're doing on the Corridor channel, which is going to be done in Unreal Engine. So you guys have been obviously hearing us talk about Unreal Engine a whole bunch. A lot of this is in prep for Local Zero, which is a show that was greenlit on the site. But
Wait, did
Sam-
you say for the Corridor channel?
Yeah, for the Corridor channel. That's
Wait,
right, guys.
that old relic?
way.
That's right, guys. Our biggest channel that gets the most views and the most subscribers every day.
Dusting
the
off
Corridor channel.
our breadwinner.
Which, by
See,
the way,
I only
10
started
mil
watching
yet?
Corridor Crew, and I didn't realize there was all these videos that you guys have made from all these years that I'd already seen.
That's my favorite comment to read. It's like, wait, you guys have another channel?
What?
Wait, you guys made these videos?
Wait,
that
you
I
guys
saw?
did the Minecraft video?
Yeah.
I had this guy hit me up. So the DJI just came out with a new FPV drone, and I posted a video to my personal YouTube channel. First time in a very long time. Of just me flying through some trees, and I crashed that drone at the end of the video. And so this reporter from the UK reached out to me from, I forget the name of the, anyway. He reached out just to ask some questions about it and to ask like who I was and stuff like that. And I told him, you know, I'm from Cordo. We made this video, the Boston Dynamics video. I was like, oh, I wrote an article about that last year. Basically about that exact video. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that you did that.
So what's the
internet
plan
is a
here,
small
Nico?
place.
What's the plan with this video?
All right.
What's the
so
point?
The plan with this video is that
Digital Trends is
Digital
the name
Trends.
of the publication.
So screw it. I'm just gonna spoil the video a little bit here. Whatever. All right. I mean, it's not that groundbreaking.
I've read the comments. People love that we spoil stuff for them.
Do they?
Yeah.
I read the comments too. I should have known that answer.
No, there's always like one or two comments that are like, I don't like that you guys talk about the upcoming video before it's out. And I'm like, I totally get that, but we're trying something.
I mean,
we're
what else
talking
are we
about
gonna talk about?
that's what we're doing, you know?
Yeah,
This
we're
is
just talking about what we're
now.
doing right now, and what we're doing is what's coming out on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Not this though. We're talking about this
the
is future.
premise for this video is that, you know, in a video game, how you can get shot 1,000 times and your character is fine, not a big deal.
Yeah.
But then but then it'll cut to a cinematic and like the bad guy points a gun at you and your character's like, whoa, don't shoot. You know, suddenly it's a big deal. Like, I guess now this one bullet is now going to kill them. So this video is about that, where there's an unstoppable dude that the goons can't stop until they get a camera pointed at him and it enters a cinematic. And he's like, wait, what are you doing? Oh no, I'm in a cinematic. And it's like, that's right.
We got you. Trapped you.
Gotcha. And then the main character finds that his long lost passion is acting. So I'm setting up an environment for this, and it's a pre-built environment from the Unreal Store that's free. It's this factory environment, but I'm going through and just tweaking the lighting and the settings and making it look a little more cinematic and making the light look nicer because Unreal has real-time ray tracing, which is awesome because it's basically all the exact same technology from Mental Ray, which is a renderer that I learned back when I was in my early 20s and late teens. And you know,
Wait, why is Mental Ray the comparison and not something like Octane?
because something like Octane these days is basically what's called a path tracing engine, where everything is shooting rays out into the scene. The camera shoots rays out into the scenes. The lights shoot rays out into the scenes. The scene shoots rays out into the scenes. Like everything shoots rays, and it takes a long time to render. Well, it doesn't take that long to render. It takes some time to render. But what you get out of it is a perfectly accurate scene because there's no check boxes to check. There's no settings to futz. You either render it or you don't.
It's
like
just either photoreal or it's not.
yeah.
No, it's either
exactly.
photoreal or it's not rendered.
Exactly. Everything acts like light is supposed to do, which is actually this trend was started with something called Maxwell Render back in the day.
I remember experimenting with Maxwell Renderer on the Lord of the Rings video we did because I was trying to render the blood using Maxwell, but it was so slow, and I also didn't have a license for it, so I couldn't.
Just had a big watermark like on the blood.
Yeah,
I remember seeing
exactly.
the first renders for Maxwell Renders, being like, oh my god, this looks so good. Why is that? And like they were the first ones to be like, all right, lights. You can't just put an object that says it's a light in the scene. That's not how lights work. Lights are actually emitted from surfaces and things that are glowing. So if you're gonna have a light in your scene, you need to like our soft boxes that we have in here. It's like now if you want those to light up your scene, you actually have to build a model that has a texture that emits light, or have a light with like a lens shape to project the light. You actually have to physically have a light in your scene. You can no longer just have an imaginary light that's just shining light, but the light doesn't exist because you don't get photorealism with that. And Maxwell Render was one of these first things to have like texture-based lighting, where everything that's in the scene creates light. Because at the end of the day, a white wall that has light bouncing off of it and a white softbox that's just turned down low are doing the exact same thing.
Was Maxwell an unbiased renderer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Because technically, like, Octane and Redshift are not fully unbiased.
Yeah, but for all
technically.
intents and purposes.
They are.
Yeah. But before that you had Mental Ray. There's a couple other renders that
And V-Ray,
V-Ray,
RenderMan,
RenderMan,
Arnold.
Brazil.
Wait, what?
Brazil.
That was a renderer?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I use
I
that
did
one a
not know
bit too. Brazil is really nice. So
Did you turn on your Sao Paulo settings?
Of course. I think Brazil was like the first one to have like Final Gather built into it and stuff. I could be. I'm probably wrong. I was, like 13 years old. No, I was more like 15 years old. Doesn't matter. Those are only 2 years apart. Seemed like a long time back then. Anyways, where I'm going with all this is that with programs like Mental Ray, your scene was lit or rendered using a combination of different techniques. So, like when you're playing a video game, you're not doing path tracing. You're not doing the full-on light simulation because it just takes too long to render each frame. So you have a lot of little like math shortcuts that get you close to the same effect. Like for example, let's say you have a 3D sphere and you have a point that represents the light in your scene. Well, you can do path tracing. You shoot rays off that point and to all 360 degrees. Well, I guess there's more than 360 degrees when you're talking about 3 dimensions. But, you could have that point shooting rays in every direction. You could calculate which rays hit the sphere, where they bounce, what the value is, etc. Or you could just take a measurement on the surface of that sphere, measure how much that surface is pointed at the light or pointed away from the light, and just apply that to a black and white scale, a gradient.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the shortcut. And those kind of rendering shortcuts are what's happening in video games, and that's what happened in old render engines. And so Mental Ray was kind of one of these engines that straddled both worlds, where you had all these like rendering shortcuts, the basic math versions of rendering, and then you had the initial like ray tracing, where lights shoot rays, and those rays bounce off things that reflect. And there was ray tracing engines in the 90s too. But then there's also things like Final Gather and, global illumination, ambient occlusion, which represents how, light bounces off surfaces and lights up shadows. You had area lights that didn't have to just be a point, but could have size, and therefore they would influence the softness of the shadow. And all these kind of different things that started stepping towards that realistic, photorealistic, world of rendering. But it wasn't quite photorealistic because you had to guess where the balance was between your ray traced stuff and your global illumination stuff, and then like the old fashioned rendering hacks that you'd use to get your shadow maps to look a certain way or get your surfaces to look a certain way.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, our poor audience right now. This podcast, we've gotten really deep into the weeds of render engines, of Falcon drama, of anime scale.
Yeah, and now I'm talking about render engines. Anyways, so the thing, I'm just gonna keep going, so you guys just hold on.
No,
all right?
I'm super down. I love this.
So the thing is, when you're shooting out rays like from lights and you want to measure, what the rays hit, what the surfaces they hit, what the shadows are like, you need to cast a lot of rays to eventually average out the results you're getting to not have an image that's all grainy and noisy. You need to shoot thousands and thousands of rays so you eventually just, have covered every single pixel many, many times over and have everything average out and be smooth. And NVIDIA was like, what if we just trained an AI on that specific noise pattern to denoise it? Like, what if we just rendered a shot of a scene with all the samples turned up all the way? And what if we rendered that same shot with all the samples turned down all the way, and we just taught an AI to make the two look the same, which is an actual super approachable way to train an AI. So they came out with a denoising system for ray tracing, where you could do a lower sampled ray tracing scene, then denoise it using AI and have it look like it's a higher sampled version of itself.
Yeah, make it look all smooth and crispy and...
Yep. So this is what you have in real-time ray tracing in video games these days. Plus the fact that the cards themselves are getting fast enough that they can actually shoot out a considerable number of rays in real time, even without the denoising. The denoising is just like an extra perk on top of that.
Yeah, so much of this has been only possible because of the new line of GPUs, starting with the 2000 series and now the 3000 series.
Yep.
The architecture of those cards are specifically geared towards being able to shoot out tons of rays really quickly and denoise them, I guess.
Yep.
Whereas like the previous line, like the 1080, the 980, and down below that, they're very good graphics cards for the time, but they couldn't handle this type of calculation.
Yeah, all the hardware on those cards are made
fast enough.
They're made for the math of doing those those old-fashioned hacks for rendering, to doing that quickly as opposed to shooting out rays and doing the geometry of rays quickly. But what's really cool is that all this real-time ray tracing, it's basically the exact same settings as when I'd build a scene in Mental Ray when I was like 15 years old, except now it's just all happening in real time. So I've gotten to see that jump in graphics. So it's not like a new technique. It's not like, well, we figured out a new type of math to represent light and it's faster. Like, that stuff happens all the time. Not necessarily in terms of light, but in terms of like computer science,
The math behind like optics and rendering hasn't exactly changed that much in the last like 20, 30 years. It's all like it was for the longest time just theory, but like we know how light works is basically just geometry.
Yeah, exactly. So we reached the point finally where the math that I was doing back then can happen in real time. More or less the exact same way it was happening back then, but it can happen at 30 frames per second now on my computer.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Which is crazy. So now I can build these scenes and just be like, oh, that's too bright. Let me move the light over there. Let me move this here. Ooh, that looks pretty. Let me move this. Oh, that looks really nice. Let me move the camera here. Ooh, that's extra shiny. I like that. Like, I couldn't do that back then. You know, you'd render it and you'd guess and you're like, okay, that looks nice. Well, I guess I'll commit to this one because to find another angle is going to take me 2 hours.
I hated Mental Ray. I hated it so much that I did not get into 3D rendering until Octane came out.
Yeah, it sucked. You have to like find so many, like you have to check this box, you have to flip this setting.
It was
you have to set
overwhelming.
this setting, like
because it was like you want anyone who's getting into like 3D rendering, they want to make their stuff look realistic. They want to make it look as real as possible. But with Mental Ray, you know, it's just a whole giant list of check marks and like sliders and stuff just to kind of like ride the line between making something look realistic and not take a million years to render. But also like some of those things, you don't know what they did or what, like it was so confusing for someone who's just getting into 3D rendering that it was so overwhelming. And that was why I think we're seeing so many artists getting into 3D rendering now is because Octane and others like it, you know, Arnold, Redshift, like you're saying, it's like, it's just on. And you make a scene, you throw down a texture, you drop in a light, you hit on, and then it just looks amazing.
yeah.
Hey,
Like,
where's the on button?
Yeah, which is great because that's one of the reasons I was able to pick up Octane so much quicker.
Yeah.
But now in Unreal, this the real-time ray tracing stuff, it's kind of like Mental Ray, where it's back to sliders and checkboxes.
Now we know the real reason why I chose to learn Houdini.
I mean, you just gave us the recipe to crypto art right there, basically.
Exactly. So yeah, for me, it's like going back to like an old friend. It's like, oh, I'm so familiar with all this. Like, I'm fast, I'm quick, I can make it look good. Like, I've picked up Unreal Engine, which I'm not very good at, but suddenly I'm pumping out cool renders, and everyone's like, "Whoa, Nico, nice job!" I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." Because the thing is, like, I'm having a mild crisis here, where it's like, everybody's using Blender and Cinema 4D these days. I'm not very good with Cinema 4D. I know very little about Blender. I learned in 3ds Max, and at this point, like when I want to do simple things that don't really need a specific program, I'm finding myself yearning for just getting 3ds Max installed again. Just like, oh, I gotta do a quick little model of something. It's like I can do that in 3ds Max instantly, whereas I can sit there for 2
just
hours
like at his
plugging
house,
my way
like
through
in the
Cinema 4D.
closet with 3ds Max running, dude. Like,
He's on a tube desktop. Just
Ivy's like, Ivy opens the door and you're like, oh, this is so awkward. I'm on 3ds Max. I'm so sorry.
close the door. Don't tell anybody.
dude, Nico,
like-
if you want to max out, you can, dude.
Well, the reason we stepped away from 3ds Max is the same reason we're stepping away from Adobe right now, which is like, the parent umbrella company gets so big that they stop focusing on like making these programs stable for the people who are making a living off of them, and they become like half-assed, half-baked, buggy things. And it's like, well, gee, thanks for breaking my project, or thanks for like I had a deadline tomorrow that I was gonna hit, and thanks for making it blow that. I'm paying you guys for these things. Like, sorry, this is a rant. It's not really focused on 3ds Max. It's still focused on Adobe.
Amen,
But
brother.
like, it's just one of those things where it's like 3ds Max would crash on me all the time, and at a certain point, I was over it, and I wanted to learn something else, and I wasn't doing a ton of 3D work anymore. So it's like, let's jump. We made the jump to Cinema 4D, but who knows? Maybe 3ds Max is good these days. Maybe not. I have no idea.
It's barely changed. I looked into it recently, and it's got some new features naturally, but it's like it's still roughly the same.
Yeah.
Whereas Cinema 4D, on the other hand, comes out with pretty banging features every year.
Yeah, like that. You could feel that there was development in Cinema 4D.
Yeah, and for me, the thing that really pushed me over was just like all of these artists that I was following on Instagram, like the community. They're all like, "Oh yeah, Cinema 4D, it's great." And the tutorials were all there. It's like I was like, okay, I feel like I'll have some help if I jump into this. The only reason why I learned 3ds Max back in the day was because you and Sam knew 3ds Max. That was like literally the only reason why I chose it.
Well, it's 3ds Max back then was to artists like us what Cinema 4D is now to artists.
That is true.
It was
we're
the
talking
most
like 8 years ago.
community-supported 3D software out there. It's really accessible. It's really approachable in terms of like how things are laid out. Like, mentally. You can figure things out.
It was free-ish. You can download the student version.
It was very easy to pirate too.
I never had to. I was always able to just get the student version because they don't actually verify if you're a student. You're just like, I'm a student. And you're like, cool, here you go. And I'm like, cool.
Student define student.
I still have my student ID. I did that for the longest time going to movies.
yeah?
Like, oh yeah, I graduated 2 years ago, but I'm a student.
I remember doing that too. Yeah. So needless to say, these days, working in Unreal with ray tracing is wonderful. There's still the quirks of like, how do you get that clean image? Because one of the funny things is
In
like,
Unreal?
yeah, in Unreal when you render. Because back in the day, when you'd see like Toy Story, it's like it looks amazing. The 3D animation is crazy.
So clean.
Those toys are so clean.
Keeps his room so tidy.
No mess anywhere. So one of the things that Pixar talked about that was important to them back then is that they didn't want to have any aliasing, no flickering whatsoever. In like not a single pixel could flicker in their shots. They had to be rock solid. And they're using RenderMan back then. And one of the things that RenderMan did is that it didn't use polygons. It used NURBs.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so like, rather than defining something with like points, like I'm going to define 3 points, and within those 3 points I have a polygon, aka a triangle. Rather than doing that, they basically would have mathematically defined curves, and then the computer would subdivide those curves into surfaces as needed depending on how close or far they were from the camera. So you didn't have polygons. You just had a procedurally generated surface based on the curves that you defined for your characters.
For you math nerds out there, it's the difference between a summation and an integral.
Yeah, math nerds.
All right, so I think the summary here is that Nico's going back to 3ds Max for all programs. He's just going to try to do everything out of 3ds Max, including edit.
I do hear you though about the hesitation of like you, because for the last 2 years I didn't really use Cinema 4D that much. Like I would use it for a project here and there, like especially through Bosstown and whatnot. But Clint was always like so into Cinema 4D that anytime we had some sort of rendering need, he was able to just take it. He was able to just do it. And so as a result, I ended up my Cinema 4D skills started atrophying, and I feel like I can relate to here. It's like you kind of feel like a lack of confidence in opening the program to do something because like I don't remember where the button is. I don't remember the shortcut for that.
Guys, we do not do things because they are hard.
In this decade.
In this decade. All right.
The guitar's here.
The guitar's arrived.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish
think-
this
I was like,
thought.
wait.
But yeah,
Finish.
I just started. Literally, it was just like, okay, I just opened the program and just started trying to make something stupid, and like I just did that a few times, and it was surprisingly quick for it to come back, like pretty quick.
Yeah. The problem is I still have gaps in my knowledge from when I started learning Cinema 4D.
You made that really awesome like heart render last year.
Using all the basic techniques that I learned.
It worked. It worked.
Guys, don't be afraid to learn. Nico, don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to learn.
All the children sing in chorus now.
All
Nick, are
the
you learning anything
children
these days?
singing along to Don't Be Afraid to Learn.
Learning how to make a movie.
I was learning Blender,
Oh, that's right.
but then I made a movie instead.
It's like
But
that
I
song
plan
Because
on
I Got
doing it.
High. It's like I was gonna learn Blender, but then I made a movie.
It's just like, no, Blender is very approachable for a 3D noob like me. Definitely recommend it. 3ds Max.
Jake, let's
no
play a
idea.
song together.
Yeah, it's song time.
Okay, all right.
It's song time.
Are we songing it?
All right. I'm gonna play D minor 7 and C major back and forth. Okay.
Wait, I gotta get these lyrics out. Okay. I'm just gonna do a little. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things,
It's
not
decade.
because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is the one that we are willing to accept, one that we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and the others too. That's the lesson of the podcast today, guys. Thanks for listening. Consider subscribing.
All right, I'm gonna scream into the microphone in 5, 4, 3.